Hello, Conroe Church. Thank you for joining us today. I think you may have heard Steve tell that this week what we decided to do instead of our typical devotional times that we have been doing every week for the past couple of months, we wanted to have some of our Conroe members in and just talk to them about this shutdown and COVID-19 and the world today and just see how it's been affecting them and their lives over the past couple of months, because this is unprecedented. That word has been overused. I mean, it's just been used to the extreme, but there's really not another word to be able to describe what is going on in the world right now. And so we just wanted to touch base with some of our folks here and see what it's done in their lives, and for the good and for the bad, and maybe see how they've seen God in this. So really excited today to have Andrea and Amy James. They're in our Young Families class, and I'm just really excited to be able to visit with them a little bit. I really love Andrea and Amy. And I know if you know them, you do too. And so let me visit with them for a little bit. Okay, so when did you guys come to Conroe Church of Christ? How long have y'all been here?
Do you want to answer that? You want me to?
We became members in 2012 when Will was born, but we attended a couple years before that.
We were visiting for years and years, Rick. I think the first service we came to was before this building. It was when the church was actually meeting at Conroe High School.
Yeah.
So a long, long time ago.
Oh, okay.
We were visitors for years and years, and finally, like, why have we not joined yet?
So just out of curiosity, how did y'all come across Conroe Church? How did y'all get here?
Chris and Reagan Allen.
Okay.
So when I started at the DA's office here, Chris was working at the county attorney's office, and he and I became friends. I actually met him when I came up here to interview, because he was hanging out with some of the prosecutors of the DA's office. And we became friends, and he, started to encourage us, hey, you guys should come check it out. And we were looking for a church at the time, so we came, and neither of us grew up in a Church of Christ. I don't think I'd ever been to one before, but we met a lot of really awesome people and found a church that we loved and came as visitors for a long, long time and finally joined when we,
Awesome. Okay, so tell me what y'all do for a living. So you mentioned the prosecutor's office. Tell them what you do at the prosecutor's office.
I'm an assistant district attorney with the Montgomery County DA's office. I've been there 2007, November 2007. So what's the math on that? 12 and a half years.
12 and a half years.
So, and I am in charge of all fatality car crash cases, so things like intoxication, manslaughter, stuff like that. And that means I'm on call all the time. So part of my job is responding to fatality car crash scenes where criminal charges may arise.
Yeah.
Which means, I may get called out in the middle of the night, get called out on the weekend, go assist in an investigation, and then, take that case until the resolution, whether that means it goes to trial, whether that means we dismiss the case, what have you. I'm in charge of all those ones.
Okay, so you actually go out to the scene before the police do anything to the scene.
Yeah, the police will be investigating, we go out to assist. So if, say, there's someone who's intoxicated and that person's not going to consent to provide a blood specimen, one thing I'll do is get information from the officer, write up a search warrant to get a sample of that person's blood. We'll then send it to a judge so that if the judge finds probable cause, that's what the Fourth Amendment requires, for us to take a sample of blood from someone who's not consenting.
Yeah.
Also to just assist and look for things that may be important in a criminal prosecution on a case that may go to trial versus what the police may just be looking for to try to figure out what happened. Okay. And there's usually multiple scenes at these types of cases. You've got the crash scene. You typically have the suspects and maybe witnesses, victims, transported to a nearby hospital. So more people being there that can help, that can, help advise and guide on, like, hey guys, don't forget to do this. Officers, don't forget to do that. Has anybody done this yet? Because when you've got people they're in the middle of that fight, they're trying to make sure they do things, but they may forget stuff. We want to make sure that we help them. And, it's not just me that goes out. There's investigators from our office and other people too. So we work to assist as a team thing to make sure that we can do a very thorough investigation on these cases so that justice can be done, whatever that may be in that case.
Okay. So, I mean, really, you deal with human suffering a lot.
Unfortunately, Rick, yeah, that's, every family I meet is going through probably the worst thing they've ever dealt with.
Yeah.
And they're all great people. And oftentimes the folks that commit these crimes, they're not bad people either. They just made some really, really stupid decisions that unfortunately led to a tragedy.
Yeah.
But they still did something that can't be undone. And like I said, whatever justice may be on that case, it needs to be achieved. And so that's what we're working for. But, getting further ahead than what you've asked here, it gives me an opportunity to share my faith with these families.
Yeah.
Because I get to talk with them about, the criminal justice system doesn't heal them. And I've been there doing it long enough to understand that and to know that. And I always try to encourage them to find some sort of healthy way to grieve in a healthy way. If that's, I don't try to pry, but I'll, let them know if they're people of faith, that can be a great way to help.
Yep.
And I oftentimes will share, my own experiences with loss with them in a way to help empathize and tell them that I couldn't do my job if I didn't have the faith that I have and things like that. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's terrific. Okay, so speaking of human suffering, you deal with human suffering probably a little bit differently.
I do.
So tell me about your job.
I am a certified occupational therapy assistant.
Okay.
So I work in the therapy department
Yep.
at Cornerstone Hospital in Conroe.
How long have you been doing that?
I have been doing that maybe close to 14 years.
Oh, since you came.
Yes,
Since y'all came,
I've worked
you've
at
been there.
Cornerstone since we moved here.
Okay.
Yes, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy helping people. I
Yeah.
mean, they're sick, and I get to help them find ways to find their independence again and to gain strength, and with the ultimate goal of going back home.
Yeah.
So I really.
So some of that is long-term therapy?
Yes. Where I work, they stay about 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then from there, they either might go to a rehab facility where it's 3 hours a day, or they might go to a skilled nursing facility, or they might go home with home health.
Yep.
So there's options, and I really enjoy it. It's very rewarding.
Well, you get to use your faith in your job as well,
I do.
really.
I do.
Yeah.
Many times they really appreciate when we pray with them.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so were your kids born at Cornerstone?
No, they were born at St. Luke's.
Okay. Okay, so tell us about your kids. You got 2 kids. Tell us about your kids.
We have Will, he's 8.
Yep.
And Mia is 4, almost 5.
Okay, so Will just finished 2nd grade.
He finished 2nd grade, and she is about to enter kindergarten.
Yeah.
So this fall will be the first time they're together at public school. I'm looking forward to it.
So not surprisingly, they're both very tall.
Yeah.
They both look older than they are because they're tall, but they're good kids. Having spent the last 2 months with them, they are driving each other and me crazy at times, so we can talk about that more.
Well, okay, I was going to ask that too. So how has the coronavirus pandemic, how has it affected your family? Have you continued to work?
I have continued since day one to go into work. I work 4 days a week. And Andrew has been stay-at-home dad. And
It's not, I know.
the kids have really enjoyed him being home.
Yeah.
They are so happy to be home with him. And when he leaves, if he leaves at night to go to a crash scene, or if he goes in on the weekend.
Or I escape to go to the office and do some work after
Yeah,
hours.
they say, I want
Fridays.
Daddy.
So that's been, one of the things I was going to ask is how your schedule's changed. So
This is the first time I've worn a suit out of the house in 2 months, probably.
Wow.
I did wear one a couple times for some court settings on Zoom.
Yeah.
Because the courts have been shut down for in-person stuff. We've been doing lots of things via Zoom and other apps like that. But they're opening back up now to have some in-person things. So
okay.
Amy works Monday through Thursday, and she's been going into work, and then I've been working from home Monday through Thursday while attempting to parent. And I used to joke that, because we got married when I was still in law school. So I had a year left of law school, and Amy was working, and I was finishing up law school. And I used to joke, like, I could, wouldn't mind being a kept man, be a stay-at-home dad. That is not for me. God has made that plainly clear.
Yeah.
So I would go into the office on Fridays partially just to get away and be more productive there, because trying to be productive at home, well, every 10 minutes trying to figure out what an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, if they're fighting, if they're playing, you can't tell half the time.
Yeah.
It was a little frustrating at times, but it was also fun.
They start summer camp tomorrow.
Are they just thrilled?
They're very excited. They're very social kids.
And so as Mia, as a mom, I was going to ask, are you good with them starting school back in the fall?
I have concerns, but I'm good with it. Yes, I know the school is going to have policies and procedures, just like every place is.
Right.
I feel like they'll be pretty safe there, and I feel for my kids, even just mental well-being, they enjoy school and being with other kids.
Yeah, and they need that.
They do. They need that.
Rick, I was going to say, I was, very concerned early on when we didn't know a whole lot about the virus. Mm-hmm. And one thing I think we can all be grateful for is there seems to be, from all the available evidence I'm aware of, that the chances of something horrible, death or serious complications for really anybody under 21 that doesn't have some sort of pre-existing condition, including small kids, seems very, very minuscule, which has been a huge relief, because I can tell you early on there was a whole lot of, I probably yelled, "Stop touching your face. Mia, get your thumb out of your mouth. Wash your hands. Don't touch anything. Wash your hands." More than I should have early on, but,
that's what we were hearing.
Scared.
Yeah.
And better safe than sorry, and the anxiety of that. So I'm not concerned about them going back to school. With everything that we know at this point, I think it'll be beneficial for them. We're probably more excited than they are for them to be going back to school. Maybe I'm more excited.
I bet that's right. Okay, so when you talk to Will and Mia about COVID, how did y'all frame that with them? How do you talk about that with your kids?
Well, we explained that it's a virus and people can get sick, so they understand, to protect other people, to protect themselves. We did the social distancing, followed all the rules, and they understood. And Mia, she's funny. At night, she was praying to God, and she would say, "Thank you, God, for our new neighbors, even though we can't play with them right now because of the virus, but thank you for them."
Those little kids' prayers are the sweetest of all, because, they just say what we may be thinking. Yeah.
And also something for our family that I was thinking of is kind of a blessing for this situation, is that we do not live around extended family.
Yeah.
And so our kids are used to not expecting to see grandma and grandpa and their cousins on a routine. So that was a blessing for our family. And
That's a really great point, because, especially in a church like this where there's a lot of people related to each other, that either works for you or against you in this. And like your mom's in the Dallas area, right? And your folks are in Kansas.
Correct.
So have y'all traveled at all?
So we did over Memorial Day weekend. We went up to Dallas. We stayed with my mom for a couple of days, and she is, check the box. She hits almost everything for someone who, if she gets this, is likely to have a really bad outcome.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go up there for Easter, and we're going to go visit her, but we obviously canceled that because of everything. And my brother lives not too far from my mom, and he's been going to the grocery store for her and that kind of stuff, and coming over, but like kind of staying outside. And it finally got to the point with her where she's like, okay, I've been locked down long enough, come up and visit, we'll roll the dice.
Yeah.
We were, even then, it was like, we'll hug her, but I would tell the kids, like, hey, you don't need to stand over top of Nana the whole time,
Yeah.
Just the little things we can be safe. We're not wearing masks in our house or anything like that, but, hug, kiss, but we don't need to be on top of each other the whole time. We can sit in the living room and talk at a decent distance just to be safe and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah.
My parents are going to come visit the end of June.
They're going to drive down?
They're going to drive down here, yes.
Have they flown? Do they usually fly when they come down
No,
there?
they drive, we drive. It's about 9.5 hours.
Flights to Wichita from here are surprisingly expensive, so it's, I mean, if you can spend a day of driving and don't mind driving through, straight through Oklahoma and through half of Texas.
Yeah. Well, and flying is just so weird right now anyway.
I would be nervous to fly right now.
Same here. I'd be scared to do it.
Well, okay, so that was like physically. Emotionally, what would y'all say is the best thing that you can think of that has come over the last couple of months, just in your lives? If there's been anything good come of this, just emotionally, your emotional makeup, not necessarily spiritual at this point, but what would you think?
I would say emotionally, just the joy of being together, our family, every night, having dinner together.
Yeah.
Having Andrew home all the time. I've enjoyed it. The kids have enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. In fact, when he's gone now, I feel more anxiety. I really enjoy him being home.
Yeah.
And he's the fun parent, I would say.
I'm the fun parent / the disciplinarian.
You're both, yes. And like a funny thing, sometimes when we, can I tell at the dinner? When we eat dinner, sometimes at family dinner, Andrew misses sports very much.
Yeah.
And when we would sit down for our family dinner, he would give sports commentary of how we're all eating and the manners, and he made us all laugh.
Did you take any video of that?
I should have.
Because there's one on, there's one going around on YouTube. I can't. It was one. It's a British. I think he is a soccer commentator, and he's commentating on his kid doing something, and it is a scream.
I mean, I didn't come up with that idea on my own. I had seen maybe like a meme or something about that, so I figured one night maybe this will get we'll treat it like a game, and the kids will eat all their food without complaining about something. So I was, talking about all right, Will seems to be about halfway through his chicken there. Will, how have you, what's been your strategy on this first half? And then I'd, put my spoon or fork or something towards him, and he would just look at me like, it's good.
Yeah.
I try to teach him how to give a long, nonsense, say-nothing sports answer to things. You just got to take it one bite at a time. It's really been a whole team effort in taking care of this. And then Mia, of course, wants to start being the sideline reporter, so she's doing the same thing as me. And it was fun. And then it, of course, it always gets out of hand to where they're not eating anymore now. And they're just laughing.
Yeah, we're in this.
We've done a lot of Nerf battles, laser tag.
Yeah.
Lots of.
That's one thing that.
Okay, see, I mean, that really is great for a family.
Yes.
It's one thing that I enjoy about working at home, but has been highly unproductive for me working at home, is because when I'm at home, there's a temptation to stop working.
Yeah.
Go grab a Nerf gun and just
start
engage
a war.
them in a little battle because they have fun with it and enjoy it. So.
This will be a time, though, in their life, in each one of their lives, that they will look back on. Because there's bonding that's happened here, obviously, that wouldn't happen anywhere else, any other way, rather.
One other thing that I really think emotionally has been helpful, or it's kind of a surprise that's come from this, is we, like I'm sure a lot of people, have been seeing friends via Zoom. Mm-hmm. And a group of our closest friends every Wednesday for about 2 months, and we just ended it this past Wednesday. We had a standing date, basically, of all of us were going to get on Zoom together and just talk and hang out and keep up with each other and, just talk things through and all that kind of stuff. And it's helped, grow relationships that were already strong relationships. And I've been particularly appreciative of that because all the guys are guys that have been my, brothers for 20 years, and all the wives, Amy and the other wives have all become really good friends over the last decade. And so we're all able to lean on each other that way and rely on each other. And because some of the people live in Dallas, one couple lives in New Orleans, we live down here. People are spread out, and it was a nice way and a pleasant surprise from this whole situation to get to kind of grow closer with people that we don't get to see that often because we're not getting to see anybody.
Yeah.
Because we're having to stay home.
Yeah. Again, those bonds. I mean, that'll be a bond that you'll share in a very specific way with those folks for the rest of your lives, really. Okay, let me ask you this. How have you seen God's fingerprints over the last couple of months? And that can be in your family or in the world. I mean, that's just an open question. But how have you seen, this has been such a horrible thing, and yet God is with us, we know that, and he is ever present. How have specifically y'all seen his fingerprints?
Well, God has always been faithful for our family, always provide us what we need. It's helped strengthen my faith in God because there's only so much you can do when something like this happens, and you have to trust God with it. There's no other choice.
Yep.
And I had a lot of anxiety at the beginning, and I just have to learn to turn that fear into faith, and that's what I did.
Phrase.
And he's always been faithful and provided. And we had some expenses that we weren't prepared for, but we were able to pay them off because our children were not in daycare. And it's just everything always it works out. He always works it out.
He provided.
He does.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. What do you think, Andrew?
Well, we've been very fortunate as a family that this hasn't affected us economically. One thing, Amy's still been able to go into work. I've been able to work from home. I work for the government. She works in the healthcare industry in an area that they're not having to cut back. So we've been very, very fortunate and blessed in that regard.
Yeah.
Which has helped. We haven't had any additional stress or anxiety from that. But I'll freely admit early on we didn't know a whole lot about this, when we didn't know what was kind of going on, and we see people stockpiling things and hoarding things. And me personally, I am the person that I go worst case kind of scenario in my mindset of, okay, what could potentially come up here, and thinking about things just like, is society going to break down? Like, that's kind of where I go. And I've been this whole situation is a constant reminder that God is in charge and we're not. And you need to embrace it and get on board with it. And I was kind of thinking about it on the way over here, like, I've always loved the ocean, and thinking like, life is a wave that we've just got to try to ride it, and we're not in charge. And that has been a constant, like I said, constant reminder that whatever our plans are, and we had a lot of them that were canceled, and hopefully set a few ones for the future. Who knows what's going to happen? But this, we need to remember how what we want isn't important. What God's plan is what's important. And it's been nice to be reminded of that, and it helps me certainly be more cognizant of it.
Yep.
And appreciate it. And another way too, Rick, without getting too emotional here, I think I've kind of seen God's fingerprints in my own life with things that have happened in my past and things I've dealt with. And like we talked about, just dealing with all the quite frankly, depressing stuff that I deal with. Yeah. It's helped me reach out to people that are dealing with anxiety from this whole situation. Like, I work with a lot of nurses and know a lot of them. There were some that I talked to that were scared. What if it gets as bad here as in New York? Yeah. And just trying to remind them, you're going to be okay. God is sovereign. Whatever happens, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about me losing my dad suddenly years ago. One of my groomsmen, a good friend of mine, who we've kind of grown apart for years, but right at the start of the lockdown things, his dad died of a heart attack. Wow. Can't even have a funeral. And he's somebody who, he's like I said, he's grown apart. But I reached out to him when I found out about it, and because of my experience, he was comfortable talking with me about it. I've helped him just have somebody to talk to and start his grieving process, and giving him some guidance and trying to, steer him back to where I know he used to be and get him back with. Because I don't really know where he is with his walk with God right now, but I'm hoping, hopeful things will get back to where I know it used to be with him.
Yeah, there's no telling how many doors have been opened into people's souls because, until you're forced to think about your mortality, we just don't do it. I mean, we avoid it at all costs, and this has kind of made us do that.
And one other thing before I forget, too, that I've seen a lot of good leadership here locally. I've seen it from the church leadership. I've seen it from my work leadership. Mm-hmm. And knowing all the people, I know that that's part of, that God's got his fingerprints all over that. And so that reassurance of knowing that the people that I rely upon are, looking to see what's important and taking those steps has made this whole situation much easier and much less stressful than it could be.
Yeah, which is part of the purpose. Now, there's so many purposes, but that's part of the purpose. Okay, one more thing. So, do you have any particular scripture that has, shown up to you in a different light, or that you discovered that you never had seen it before? Anything that comes to mind?
My favorite scripture right now is 2 Timothy 1:7. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. And for me, that just relates to this whole pandemic.
Well, and for you, what you were just saying a minute ago.
Yes. I had a lot of anxiety at the beginning with all of the unknowns, and over time, as more things are known and as hospitals, get restocked on what they need and tests are available, and I don't have that fear anymore.
Wow. Well, see, again, that's what scriptures, that's what God's words are for, is to calm our soul and to give us strength when we're weak. That's awesome. Anything with you, Andrew?
Really, Rick, the one it's nothing new. It's one that you shared with me a long time ago, is Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Mm-hmm. And I have shared that with friends and with people that to help, just like I talked about a little bit ago, to remind them that, it's going to be okay, and put your fears on God. Anything. Don't be anxious about it. Trust in God on it. And that's, I know, helped some of them. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay, I do have one more, because I know you want to answer it, because you have a good answer. So I was thinking, okay, so what are your hopes for the future? So let me ask Amy first.
Well, I hope that we obviously get a vaccine.
Yep.
I also hope one thing that I am coming away with is to have an increased gratitude for the things that we would take for granted.
Yeah.
And I also hope that people will show love to others more.
Yeah, that seems to be in short supply, and especially in the past week or two. Yeah, that's great. What's your hope?
So Amy's answer, much more profound, deeper answer. Mine is extremely selfish, I think, in a way, but not entirely, because it doesn't just involve me. But I just want to be able to play basketball on Monday nights again. I'm not. I hope for all the things that she talked about too, but just something simple like that. Before all this happened, every Monday night, myself, Connor, several of the guys here at the church, as well as friends of theirs, and we come up here at 6 o'clock, play basketball for a couple hours, and it's good exercise. I know I've put on a few pounds from some stress eating and that kind of stuff during this time, but it's also something I look forward to every week because I love playing, and it's a good time together.
Fellowship.
It's fellowship with guys. I'm usually one of the oldest guys, if not the oldest guy out there, so. And I just miss playing, and then we got sports stuff on ESPN that's just making me have this basketball itch to scratch. And Will and I've been playing in the driveway and stuff, but it's not quite the same. He's not big enough yet.
Yeah.
He can't really guard me.
Yeah. Well, you can still block his shot.
Every time he gets mad. But.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking time off of your jobs and sharing with us, because everyone is out there, and they're wondering if their experience is the same or different, and they're looking for, we're all looking for purpose in this. So you guys have had some awesome insight to that, so thank you. And thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you have been blessed by our conversation. Did y'all have anything else?
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
No, appreciate it. Thanks for
Take care. Go in peace.